You know, what we do in Washington, if problems could be solved if we had only men and women of integrity that would take their oath of office seriously, obey the Constitution, and reverse the tide. Now, that's easier said than done, because the Constitution is well written. It has some flaws, but it's well written. But it means nothing if you don't have people there obeying it. And too often we have rationalized. We have a system of government where we have courts writing the laws. We have the executive branch writing laws. We have executive orders being written. We have the Congress ignoring their own responsibility, and we've practically thrown the rule of law out the window. But law is interesting. Law itself can't change us. I happen to be very, very strong right to life. I do not believe I can defend liberty, though I defend the civil liberties. I do not believe I can defend all your civil liberties if I don't first defend the right to life. Now, I had a personal experience. I've written about this in a book on abortion back in the 1960s. After I had been drafted, I had been in the service for quite a few years. I went back to my residency. In the 60s is when the culture was changing. Abortions were being done, but they were still illegal. I was in my residency and they were doing abortions. And it was really an eye-opener for me to see what was happening, and they were defying the law. And the society was endorsing abortion, but the law still said that they couldn't do it. And yet it was still happening. But what did the Supreme Court do? They came along and they more or less rubber stamped the morality of the people and legalized abortion to the extent that it is today. So law, whether it's the courts or the president or our Congress, the prevailing attitudes and morality of the people is reflected in the law. The law won't be worth much if we don't have a moral people. So, over the years, I have emphasized the principles of liberty, the importance of the rule of law, the importance of sound economic policy. That is so important. But the economic policy, once again, is a reflection of that fundamental understanding of what it is all about to believe in liberty. I want to close right now with just making one point again about the concept of liberty. Liberty's been around only a short period of time. The ideas of freedom have been with us in a true sense of the word a couple hundred years, and yet man has been on earth many, many thousands of years. But it's only been in recent time that the freedom and the importance of the individuals, especially with our Constitution, was emphasized that the individual is important, and you don't have rights because you belong to a group. And just think of the prosperity and the great things that have happened in the last several hundred years. I mean, much has happened. And yet we right now are on the verge of losing this because we are careless. We're living on past wealth created. We're living on borrowed money. And yet we have ignored the fundamentals of the preservation of liberty. And that's what our real challenge is today. We have taken freedom and have at times broken it in pieces and talking about personal liberty and economic liberty. But there's only one liberty, the right to your life and the right to your property. And we need to bring that together. And when you understand this, these ideas are very open to a large segment of people. It doesn't just have to be, in a narrow sense, the conservative Republicans that believe in this. You can bring people together when you have a policy which emphasizes the importance of civil liberties and believing in individuals. This is where we get our right to practice our religion. And sometimes people use these freedoms in a way that we don't exactly agree with. But some people do the things in the name of intellectual study and in religious matters that we might disagree with. But this is the wonderful thing about freedom. It does bring people together. And if we do the right thing, if we are a moral nation, we will and can restore the greatness to this country. But we have as much responsibility to contribute to a moral nation as we do to just tinkering with the law. So it is today that I come to you and say, thank you very much for the support that you have given me, and I appreciate everything that you have done, and we can win this fight. Thank you. Thank you. Now, he gave me 5 minutes, but I think I went over my time. But, I asked Randy what's going to happen, what I'm going to have to do when, after he's elected. What am I going to call him? Do I have to call him Senator? He said, no, I didn't have to call him Senator, but I should quit calling him Randy. So it will be rather neat to call him Senator. And from my understanding, you, his supporters, have been doing very, very well, and that things look very good in Kentucky for him to be the next senator. So, Carol and I come here with great pleasure to greet you and meet with you, but we also come here to be very supportive of what Rand is doing and hope we can help him along the way. But like he says, I can't get him elected. He has to do the job himself and convince you that he is worth the effort to put behind him. And believe me, if you want to take my advice, he's well worth it. Congratulations. Welcome, Rand, next senator of Kentucky.